God is with you. With your spirit. A reading from the Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of King Herod, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Here is the newborn King of the Jews." We saw his star at its rising and had come to do him homage. When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all of Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for it has been written through the prophets, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who's to shepherd my people, Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word that I too may go and do him homage." After their audience with the king, they set out, and behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. This is the good news regarding our brother Jesus. Praise to you, Jesus Christ. Have a seat. Well, happy 2025. I saw a sign on a commercial, it was a Facebook meme from Dairy Queen, and it said, "Happily helping you ruin your New Year's resolution since 1962. Yes, that's about right, isn't it? Well, what a way to start. Nothing like a good January blizzard. Have any of you set your New Year's resolutions? No? JP?
No.
No. Anybody online? No? I see a lot of shaking heads. I know for a while there was a push against the use of resolutions. People would say, "Well, I gave it up because, I never keep them, and then I just feel bad." How many of us have vowed to lose weight or to go to the gym on a regular basis only to give that up in a few weeks? What do you think is the average time that people keep their New Year's resolutions? Any guess? No one? Pretty close. According to one survey, just under 8% of respondents said their resolutions lasted a month, and only 1% said that they lasted for the whole year. So what are we really doing here? I can think of many reasons that kind of goal setting fails. Maybe our goals are too unrealistic, too unattainable. Maybe we lack accountability, or maybe it's because that kind of change takes a while to establish itself, to become a new habit. But what if what we are seeking is some kind of transformation to occur in our thinking, in our behaving, in our ways of being? Then maybe we could learn from the wise men about how to set out on a journey. What if transformation happened from being on a journey rather than by setting goals and working towards them? We would start then from a place of anticipation, not from a place of dissatisfaction, and not from a fear of failure, but from openness to a new adventure, and not from dogged determination. When we set out on a journey, we pay attention to what we're experiencing. We observe with our senses. We let it unfold rather than follow a prescribed plan. What will you take with you on your journey through the new year? What will you leave behind as you go? Will you travel alone or with others? How will you know when you have arrived? The church named them Melchior, Casper, and Balthazar. Legend has it that you could even see their skulls in a cathedral in Cologne, Germany. And so reportedly they were astronomers, and not just men, but also women. They also dabbled in magic and in dream interpretation. The story tells us of three, but in reality, there were more likely a group of them traveling together. Three is a symbolic number, the Trinity, for instance, but all throughout Scripture, when God reveals a truth or brings good news, God brings it to communities of people. Thomas Merton put it beautifully when he stated that love is our true destiny as humans. And Merton says, we do not find the meaning of life by ourselves alone. We find it with another. We receive it together. We live it together. We celebrate it together. These people, no matter how many there were, came from the East, which meant that they were aware of the expectation that there would be a Messiah or a great man who would come from Judea and rule over them. Not very long after Jesus was born, the Roman historian Suetonius wrote, there had spread all over the Orient an old and established belief that it was fated at that time for men coming from Judea to rule the world. Tacitus, another Roman historian of that same period, wrote, there was a firm persuasion that at this very time the East was to grow powerful, and rulers coming from Judea were to acquire a universal empire. So it isn't hard to imagine how this news must have sounded to King Herod, who had been on a long career climb. Herod was appointed by Mark Antony to be one of two tetrarchs of Judea and was finally declared the king of Judea by the Roman Senate. And so this news of a baby with the right to Herod's rule was a threat to him. Herod was used to getting rid of people who didn't serve his ambition. He was known for ordering assassinations, including assassinations of some of his own sons and his wives. He frequently changed succession plans, deciding who would take his throne when he died. And so according to the legend, when Herod heard that a baby would get in the way of his plans, he defaulted to his usual strategy by figuring out how to kill the problem child. And so while these happy wanderers were off on their journey to find the Christ child, unlike the shepherds who followed the star and found a direct route to Jesus, the wise men ended up in Herod's court. Now, JP and I traveled a lot. One of our first journeys together, it was actually our delayed honeymoon, was in a VW bug driving from eastern France through Switzerland, Australia. No, not Australia. That would be a long route. Austria and Germany, and then back into France. You know, all I had seen previously, the Swiss Alps, I saw on a Swiss Miss commercial or on the Ricola cough drop commercials where the man yodels, or as a child in a black and white rendition of Heidi. So I had visions of goats with bells around their necks and herders who lived in huts on the hillside and yodeled. What I would have missed if I had refused to see the Swiss countryside for what it really was. If I hadn't been open to the people, their stories, their food, their customs, if I hadn't been open to urban life in Switzerland and the effects of being surrounded by the Nazi regimes of Austria and Germany during the late 30s and 40s. Journeys require an openness, open eyes and ears, a curious mind, a flexibility that accepts the unforeseen, accepts sometimes difficult realities. Without openness, we stent the creative process. It's hard to form new parts of ourselves. Journeys require us to listen, to quiet our minds with thoughts pushed aside. Listening to what our dreams tell us, listening to what nature has to say, listening to one another. Making space for new impressions, new ideas, new feelings, and new experiences. Notice that for the astronomers, as for the shepherds who watched their flocks by night, God spoke through a sign that God knew they would understand. Follow a star. What are those ways that you hear God's voice directing you? Are you willing to listen, willing to discern how and where to go on your journey through 2025? If we apply this idea to some of our efforts to change with the new year, imagine if losing weight meant listening to your body and what your body tells you about its nutritional needs or how it feels about its size. Consider if the goal was to meditate and think about what it would be like to observe your brain as it calms itself and to feel the tension in your shoulders dissipate. Journeys also start with an intention, much like we do when we journey through the labyrinth, for instance. What is it that you want to gain greater understanding about in 2025? Where do your curiosities take you? What are you hoping to accomplish, to conquer, to grow in over the next several months? For our wise stargazers, as the story goes, their journey took an unexpected turn. Perhaps you planned a family event and it goes from being festive to dramatic when some conflict breaks out. Or maybe you have looked forward to retiring, but then gained a great opportunity for yet another job. My daughter was hiking on Skye Island recently in the rugged inner Hebrides of Scotland. When she returned to her car, she discovered that she had a flat tire as the sun was setting in the middle of nowhere, texting her mother, who was a little far away. Needless to say, she didn't make it back to her hotel as planned that night. What is that saying? You know, the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. But when the journeys we are on are things that call for dogged determination, something like sobriety or accepting the diagnosis of cancer, how do we stay the course when our journeys take us off the beaten path and into places that we had never anticipated? Leo Babauta, who writes for Zen Habits, says, the path to every goal is littered with obstacles. The key is to anticipate setbacks. Know that many journeys take us 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. Relapse is a part of the process. If we're willing to be flexible, then we can take that challenge and make it a part of our plan. It becomes a part of our journey. Richard Rohr tells us in Falling Upward that it seems that in the spiritual world, we do not really know how to find something until we first lose it, ignore it, miss it, long for it, choose it, and personally find it again, but now on a new level. That is a journey that transforms us. About encourages us to see the obstacle as our teacher, see what it offers, wrestle with what is there to learn from, seek the hidden gems, those gifts this new place gives you. Perhaps a time of solitude when you thought that you needed to be with the crowd. Or maybe an unexpected encounter with someone that leaves a lasting impression. For the wise men and women, their time with Herod led to a dream that made them aware of Herod's plan. And with that new formed wisdom, they chose a different route home, a route that spared the lives of the Holy Family. Václav Havel and the power of the powerless reminds us that we see in our own world events the phenomenon of political tyrants, don't we? Tyrants who live in perpetual fear of losing power and who think nothing of subjecting their own people to the cruelest exercise of that power. It may be important then to examine whether or not we, like the wise in our story, play into the plans of the wicked, perhaps even without knowing it. For our journeys feel like deeply personal experiences, don't they? The lessons they've taught us, the ways they've shaped us, but we do not exist in a vacuum. Our choices ripple through the universe and change the course of all living matter. The journey of the Hebrew people in the early church became the journey of the Gentiles. The journeys of your ancestors and mine who came to this country became our stories of origin, or the origin of our children. As Rabbi Jonathan Sacks says, for though my faith is not yours and your faith is not mine, if we are each free to light our own flame, together we can banish some of the darkness in the world. The Magi brought gifts to the Christ child, gold associated with royalty and deity in ancient civilizations, frankincense representing divinity and used in temple worship, myrrh that was an embalming and burial ointment, suggesting that they knew the earthly destiny of this child just born. What are the gifts you will gather from your journey this year, your souvenirs? How will you take what you gain from the journey and gift it to the world? There have been many predictions about how this new year will roll out. One publication in particular regarding 2025 grabbed a lot of attention and gripped many with fear as we transition into new leadership with quite an agenda. But we too get to participate in writing the chapter on the next 12 months. We too can establish our intentions and embark on a journey, watch for the signs, and redirect our paths. Ilia Delio writes about the new year. She says, at this cosmic turning point, we stand as conscious witnesses to an extraordinary dance. Our planet completing another spiral through space, while we, its inhabitants, contemplate our own transformative journeys. We make resolutions. We imagine better versions of ourselves. We dare to believe that this astronomical cycle can mirror our personal growth. But we are not just marking time. We are participating in humanity's unique gift, the ability to transform astronomical motion into meaningful change. The stars may wheel above indifferently, but we greet each revolution with purpose, with hope, with the audacity to imagine and create what has never been before. Friends, let the journey begin.